Hello and welcome back to Not a Watch Snob. I am your host, Bill. In the wide world of watches, there are many different issues plaguing the watch community. With the economy sinking faster than the Titanic and the cost of production on the rise, it's harder than ever for us average folks to purchase respectable watches without taking a second mortgage out on the home. These micro brands and watch companies feed off unoriginality, with each new timepiece looking more and more like a Disney sequel. Telling the same old boring story, they just might have switched the colors. If you're anything like me, we long for something fresh, something new, something with a story to tell. Not just another dive watch telling me how versatile it is, because I can dive 300 meters and find Nemo. Frankly, it's all kinda dreadful, dull, soulless, and uninspired. When I went to Wind Up Watch Fair in New York, there wasn't a single watch that sent the blood rushing to my, spring bar. But what if, my friends, there were watches out there that not only afford you to get a respectable watch of a high caliber, but also allow you to have a distinct timepiece with a sense of individuality. A watch that breaks away from the old rinse and repeat watch brands of today without breaking the bank. A timepiece that tells more stories than politicians and poets combined, and a watch that's gonna look fly on your wrist. So to all you future dreamers, you lovers and leavers, to all those who know there's still something between us that binds us and reminds us of the times that have passed, I appreciate you listening to this one man's last gasp, as we take a look at vintage watches. Now I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, like, oh, but they're harder to maintain and they're more delicate. Oh, but they're too small for my big 7.5-inch wrists. And yes, those are valid concerns, my pudgy friend. But I have bought and sold hundreds of vintage watches, and I've only ever had one issue. Not only are these watches built to withstand the test of time, but they were built with precision and care that you may not find in today's mass-produced market. Have you ever heard of the old additive, they don't make them like they used to? Ever wonder why? Well, today we're going to be taking a look at some watches that might get you on the vintage bandwagon. Today's selection is the creme de la creme. A little bit of everything. Realistically, it's just 2 alarms, a dress watch, and a calendar movement. But they still might be some mighty fine pieces. Let's start off with the alarm, shall we? From the brand Jaeger-LeCoultre, we have the Memovox wrist alarm. Both of these watches are beautiful in their own way, with an incredible feature that predates this. And replaces it with this. Which is equally as annoying, I will admit. However, the idea is extremely cool. How it works, it is using a dedicated crown to set the alarm time on a rotating internal dial, where the triangular marker indicates the desired alarm time. When the set time is reached, a mechanism within the watch triggers a hammer to strike a gong, producing a loud, audible alarm sound. Notable wearers of these watches were Miles Davis, Charlie Chaplin, Robert De Niro, Tony Bennett, Sterling Moss, and even Steve McQueen. The Memovox is one of those many watches that deserves recognition in the vintage watch collecting scene. Not entirely due to its association with the alarm complication, but from, a design perspective as well. Now, as vintage watches go, these bad boys were quite large at 35mm. They debuted in 1950 at the Swiss Watch Fair, and these watches made a sure splash. As for the line's impact upon the manufacturer, the Memovox is an integral part of JLC's legacy, alongside with timepieces such as the Reverso and the Atmos clock. These watches are beloved so much that they reissued this watch, and again, these watches cost a whopping $6,000. Now you can get your hands on a vintage one from anywhere between $1,200 to $1,300, or you can message me here for one of mine. From alarms to calendars, the next one we move on to is a brand you may be familiar with, Heuer. Not to be confused with the better half of Tag Heuer, we have the Heuer Triple Calendar. A very fun, funky and functional design from Heuer. The triple calendar, Heuer, reference number 1806, is one of the more under-the-radar timepieces that Heuer produced. Heuer is more known for its sports watches and most notably their chronographs developed for races and aviation. The reference number is 1806 triple calendar came out as Heuer's 90th anniversary watch, and it was marked as the half of a millennium watch as it came out in the year, 1950. The inner dial is a simple dress watch design with brushed inner dials, applied gold markers, and the running second hands at 6 o'clock. This complements the outer blue date track perfectly, which coincides with its beautifully serpent-like date indicator. The automatic bumper movement powers this watch, and the day, date, and month complications is very charming, and it reminds me of the era for which this watch was produced. These watches will run you anywhere from $1,400 to $1,900 depending on the condition. And last but not least, right off the body of Tommy Two Times,
I'm gonna go get the papers,
we got a solid gold JLC manual wind. Dripped in over 40 grams of solid yellow gold, this watch is perfect for any occasion. Whether you want to dress it up or shake down someone, this watch is what you need. No complications, no features, just gold and accuracy. It's simple yet stylish, and the case is made by a company called Jaeger, which is famous for making cases in the 1960s. This watch will complete your look perfectly with its integrated bracelet and fuck you attitude. You can pick these up for $3 to $4K depending on where you buy it. Let's break down vintage watch collecting real quickly. The pros of owning a vintage watch collection are they are the best bang for your buck. Let's be honest, I scored all these watches for under 4K. And if I wanted any of these brand new, I'd be looking at well over $15,000. Another pro is that you have something that no one else will be wearing, a timeless piece of history that lives to tell another story. So you, yes, you are a part of the story. And when your apps and Rolexes and your APs and your Apple Watches all die within the next 100 years, you know what will still be chugging along? Probably these watches. They've lasted 75 years or so what's stopping them now? All in all, if you want to join the vintage game or have any questions, within reason, email me at notawatchsnob@gmail.com. Let's chat. And remember, I'm not a watch snob, and neither are you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm out.